Hi there! Glad to see you. I'm Tim.
That's what you do when you want him to shut up! Shut up, Tim! I'm here to look at some paintings. I'm going to click on the obelisks, and I'm going to check out some paintings. Alright, here we are back in the lounge with this smooth piano. We're going to take a look at some paintings today. So we're just going to keep right here. Yesterday we looked at paintings in A, so now we're going to go look at the paintings that start with B. Let's take a look, guys. Here we have Bacchus and Arabia by Titian. We have the Banjo Lesson by Cassatt. We have the Baptism of Christ from Piero di Francesca. We have Bayeux Tapestry, Battle of Hastings. We have Bedroom at Aries by Van Gogh, very famous painter. We have the Binding of Samson by Rembrandt, who has the famous Rembrandt lighting, which is used even in photography. Of course, he is a painter. And last but not least, we have Breakfast Still Life by Legs. This is a great group of paintings. We're going to take a look at them right now. We're going to learn a lot. That's the point of this game. Edutainment games. Let's go.
Regarded as one of art's great colorists, the painter Titian lived a long life, and his style changed dramatically. Bacchus and Ariadne, in which the wine god meets his future wife, comes relatively early in Titian's career. The colors are deep and vibrant. They are used conventionally to describe the objects, and they fill out the forms, giving an illustrational quality. The colors are striking and promote the painting's essential meaning. Nonetheless, the painting remains clearly readable in black and white. Ariadne is clothed in blue like the sea, whose demigod Theseus has abandoned her. The broad expanse of ultramarine blue was painted with lapis lazuli, a mineral more precious than gold in the 16th century.
Wow, so that was some good information there. So this is a very, like you said, a very vibrant photo. It's quite interesting. So let's see what we can do here. We can click on stuff. Let's click on the stats. So this painting was from 1520. That's pretty old. And it's oil on canvas. So let's check out the life of the painter. It's like a biography. Very interesting. Titian. He was born in 1487 and he died in 1576. So this man lived a long life. Angelicized form of Tiziano. Vecchiello, Italian painter active in Venice, one of the greatest artists of the High Renaissance. In 1533, he became a court painter to Charles V, Holy Roman Emperor, whose son Philip II of Spain later became his patron. Titian's work is richly colored with inventive composition. He produced a vast number of portraits, religious paintings, and mythological scenes, including Bacchus and Ariadne, which we just looked at, and that had, like it said, a very colorful and inventive composition. And he painted also Venus and Adonis, and a painting called Pieta. And Titian probably studied with Giovanni Bellini, but also learned much from Giorgione, and seems to have completed some of Giorgione's unfinished works, such as Sleeping Venus of about 1510. His first great painting is the Assumption of the Virgin from 1518. Typically sublime in mood, with upward thrusting layers of figures. 3 large mythologies painted in the next few years for the Estate of Ferrara show yet more brilliant use of color, and numerous statuesque figures suggest the influence of classical art. By the 1530s, Titian's reputation was widespread. His Venus of Urbino from 1538, with its subtle nuances, was a significant development in the study of the nude. So quite interesting there. Let's head back to right into, let me see, you've got to get back to the index. I think it's the best way to get back. Let's check out the banjo lesson.
In this pastel painting called The Banjo Lesson, American artist Mary Cassatt, considered a master pastelist, has used techniques that show the versatility of pastel. On the heads of the mother and daughter, she has blurred and blended the strokes of color to create the effect of an oil painting, while the mother's dress shows the individual strokes of the pastel stick. Pastels are sticks of pigment mixed with a filler, such as chalk, and held together with gum. The paper it is used on has to have tooth or enough texture to hold the pigment. Some pastel artists even draw on sandpaper.
Yes, indeed. Let's check out the stats. This painting is from 1893. Let's check out the life of the painter. This one here is a woman painter, Mary Cassatt. Mary Cassatt, born in 1844, died in 1926, was a U.S. Impressionist painter and printmaker who studied in Europe and settled in Paris in 1868. She admired the work of Monet, Courbet, and in particular Degas, working in close collaboration with him from 1879. Her popular, colorful pictures of mothers and children show the influence of Japanese prints. For example, The Bath. She presented her subjects with a balance of objectivity and sentiment. She excelled in etching and pastel. Let's see here. Let's check out the baptism of Christ.
Renaissance painter Piero della Francesca used the golden proportion in planning this painting, The Baptism of Christ. There are at least 2 golden rectangles here. A line running through John's baptizing hand defines one side of a golden rectangle that the artist has carefully composed in the very center of his work. The bottom of the rectangle runs through the feet of Jesus and John. The tree and the edge of John the Baptist's body form the other sides of the rectangle. The sides are in a ratio of 1 to 1.6. That's the golden proportion. The dove and the feet of Jesus define the top and bottom of another golden rectangle. The sides are defined by these 2 trees. The artist built these small structures of what he considered perfect composition within his painting. Maybe you can find others.
So, we definitely learned some new things about proportions here. These are called the golden proportions. And there may be other ones, as he suggested. Which could they be? Well, I guess that's maybe one here. And possibly, no, I don't know. But anyway, let's check out the stats. And let's check out the biography of the painter. Piero della Francesca, born in 1420 and died in 1492, lived a fairly long life. Italian painter, active in Arezzo and Urbino, one of the major artists of the 15th century. His work has a solemn stillness and unusually solid figures, luminous color, and carefully calculated compositional harmonies, as we just mentioned in the video. It includes a fresco series. That series is The Legend of the True Cross, begun about 1452, and The Flagellation of Christ, a small-scale work painted in the 1450s, which is notable for its use of perspective. Piero wrote two treatises, one on mathematics and one on the laws of perspective in painting. So this guy was a smart cookie and a mathematician, to boot. So let's go back to the index here and check out the Bayeux tapestry.
Medieval artists weren't interested in perspective. Their pictures were generally flat, though they did use overlapping.
Let's check out the bedroom at Aries by Van Gogh.
As far as perspective goes, modern artists can take it or leave it. They know how to draw in perspective, but they often choose not to. Take Van Gogh, for instance. He was more concerned with expressing his feelings than making a picture that was visually true to life. In this painting, Bedroom at Arles, Van Gogh drew objects from different perspectives. See how the tabletop is drawn at a different angle from the seats of the chairs. And the pictures on the right-hand wall don't lie flat against the wall, they're tilted towards us. Van Gogh considered this painting to be happy and restful. What do you think?
Well, I think it's kind of cute, and I don't know if I buy the whole drawing outside of conventional conventions. I mean, it's amateurish, but it's kind of cozy, so I can kind of see what he was going after. So it was made in 1889. It was oil on canvas. Let's check out the life of Van Gogh. That should be interesting. Vincent van Gogh, born in 1853 and died in 1890. He died very young. He was a Dutch post-impressionist painter. He tried various careers, including preaching, and began painting in the 1880s. It might explain why he wasn't so great at that kind of technical stuff, if we want to be honest. His early works often being somber depictions of peasant life, such as The Potato Eaters from 1885. Influenced by both the Impressionist and Japanese prints, he developed a freer style characterized by intense color and impressive brushwork, as seen in his Sunflower series. Born in Sundert, Van Gogh worked for a time as a schoolmaster in England before he took up painting. He studied under Antoine Mauve in The Hague, and briefly in Antwerp before moving to Paris in 1886, where his brother Theo worked as an art dealer. So he had some connections definitely to the art world, and his brother may have helped him get famous, because as we know, his talent was, well, he was talented, but he wasn't that talented. So he met Paul Gauguin in Paris, and when he settled in Aries province in 1888, Gauguin, that's 2 years actually before he died, Gauguin joined him there. After a quarrel, Van Gogh cut off part of his own earlobe, and in 1889 he entered an asylum. The following year he committed suicide. So that's how it ended for Van Gogh. His numerous works, over 800 paintings and 700 drawings. Wow, he was certainly prolific. I don't think he spent much time on each one, to be honest, but I guess that was his style. Quick paintings, lots of them. Includes still lifes, portraits, many of himself, and landscapes, including The Starry Night. That's a famous one from 1889. You can find that one at the Museum of Modern Art in New York. and Crows Over Wheat Field from 1890, the last year of his life. The Arles painting vividly testified to his intense emotional involvement in his art. Irises from 1889 was sold for the record price of $53.9 million at Sotheby's, New York in 1987. That is quite an expensive painting. So, let's go back to the index. And let's check out Blinding of Samson by Rembrandt. This should be interesting. Rembrandt was famous for his use of light, so let's check that out.
In Rembrandt's Blinding of Samson, light is used in three ways: to create a highly realistic scene, to heighten the drama, and also to create important elements in the composition of the painting. The biblical story recounts the capture and maiming of the Israelite hero Samson after his Philistine lover Delilah betrays him by cutting his hair. The treacherous Delilah is brilliantly lit as she escapes, the scissors and locks of hair still in her hand. The brightness that illuminates her also emphasizes Samson's now helpless limbs. The painter has also lit the soldiers performing their gruesome task, emphasizing the opposing diagonal they form to the body of the victimized Samson. The darkness surrounding the scene and the fragmentation of its lighting are compositional elements that also add to the drama of the scene.
Quite a dramatic painting, as he said, and the lighting is absolutely brilliant. It is movie-like, it's cinematic. This is very, very impressive, I must say. Just incredible. Let's check out the stats on this one. It was painted in 1636. It's an oil on canvas type. So let's check out the life of Rembrandt, the great painter. Here we see in his portrait that he also has the brilliant use of light, very photography-ish, movie-ish. It's probably, he probably painted it himself. And let's read about him. Rembrandt, his first name is hard to pronounce, Harmensch van Rijn. He was born in 1606 and died in 1669. Lived a fairly medium to long life. The Dutch painter and etcher, one of the most prolific and significant artists in Europe of the 17th century. Between 1629 and 1669, he painted some 60 penetrating self-portraits. He also painted religious subjects, like we just saw, and produced about 300 etchings over 1,000 drawings. His major group portraits include the Anatomy Lesson of Dr. Tulp and The Night Watch. After studying in Leiden and for a few months in Amsterdam with a history painter, Rembrandt began his career in 1625 in Leiden, where his work reflected knowledge of the Alzheimer and Caravaggio, among others. He settled permanently in Amsterdam in 1631 and obtained many commissions for portraits from wealthy merchants. The self-portrait with Saskia, his wife, is of about 1634, displays their prosperity in warm tones and rich glittering textiles. Saskia died in 1642, and that year Rembrandt's fortunes began to decline. He eventually became bankrupt in 1656. His work became more somber, revealing a deeper emotional content, and his portraits were increasingly melancholy. For example, Jan VI from 1654. From 1660 onwards, he lived with Hendrik Stoffels, but he outlived her. And in 1668, his only surviving child, Titus, died too. Very tragic. Rembrandt had many pupils, including Gerard Dow and Karel Fabritius. So, that was Rembrandt. out the index. So the last painting we're going to be checking out today is the Breakfast Still Life by Atleast. This should be interesting, very interesting indeed. Let's check it out.
Though the still life painting depicting fruits, flowers, and household objects has sometimes been considered lowest in the hierarchy of subjects, it has also been perennially popular for its beauty and decorative quality. This painting by Peter Atleast is called Breakfast Still Life. Atleast was a Dutch painter who pioneered the style known as the monochrome banquet. In this style, a simple arrangement of a few objects associated with dining, such as the glass, the pewter plate with the remains of a meal, the knife, and the bread roll shown here, were painted in a limited range of colors. The scenes usually show the end of a meal and convey a sadness over how quickly our pleasures pass. These paintings were very popular with the middle class in the 1600s.
Wow, very beautiful painting, very photography-like. It's almost looks like a photograph. Very, very good detail, very just close to reality, just and beautiful colors that he used. The few colors, like you mentioned, that is really some of the strength in this painting, in my opinion. So let's check out the stats. It's a oil painting. It's from 1636. Let's check out the life of the painter. Peter Atleast was born in 1597 and died in 1661. So he lived a fairly long life. Born in Bergensteinfort in Westphalia of Dutch parents. He moved to Haarlem in the Netherlands in 1617. Atleast was a Dutch painter who pioneered the style known as the monochrome banquet, in which a simple arrangement of a few objects associated with dining were painted in a limited range of colors. The ingredients of his finely balanced composition, they were finely balanced. You could see that in the previous painting we were looking at. His compositions were scarcely varied, foods and wines in pewter, glass, and porcelain vessels, bread, fruit, and glass, is a typical work. In his later years, his work became more lavish and decorative, probably as his talents and skills evolved. So did his paintings. Well, that was all the paintings that we're going to look at in this edition. This was paintings starting with B. And subscribe to the channel if you want to see more of this. We're going to have a lot of educational games coming up, which I like to call edutainment. And subscribe, guys, and hopefully I will see you in the next video.